On day one of our trip to the Northern California coast, we showed you some of Northern California's most beautiful waterfalls. At the end of that day, we made it to the town of Yreka, California, and overnighted there. Not only was that 250 miles away from our home, which is the furthest we could make it in a day, it's also the town that I grew up in. I graduated high school from Yreka High School in 1983. Yreka is also the town that I bought my first Model A in as a 17-year-old senior in high school. I still have the car. It's been patiently waiting decades for me to restore it. And we still own property in the area, so it was a natural place for us to overnight. Departing Yreka, we took historic Highway 263 for 8 miles until we hit Highway 96, the Klamath River Highway. We proceeded down the Klamath River Highway to the small village of Scott Bar, again because I used to live there. Then we continued on downriver all the way to Happy Camp, where we had a great lunch at a local pizza parlor. Departing Happy Camp, we took an extremely isolated road through the Siskiyou Mountain Range to the town of O'Brien, Oregon, where we hit Highway 199 and continued on down to the coast. Highway 263 is the original old Highway 99, which was the main north-south byway that people used to get from California, Oregon, and Washington on the west coast. This road served that role until the 1970s, when Interstate 5 was constructed and took over most of the traffic. This makes it the perfect Model A road, for not only is it very scenic, it was also constructed between 1928 and 1931, the exact years that the Model A Ford was in production, so it's a perfect match. Going down the Shasta River Highway, old Highway 99. To move the route up out of the river bottom and up onto the side of the hill required 240 tons of high-grade explosives to make the deep cuts. It also required the construction of 5 major bridges in a 4.5-mile section, making it the most populous bridge road in California at the time of construction. The new route eliminated more than 2 miles from the old road, eliminated more than 100 curves, thus allowing the high-speed traffic of the 1930s to get through the Shasta River Canyon with much greater ease. This bridge, known simply as the Shasta River Bridge, was the first double-arch bridge constructed in the state of California. The final bridge, which spans the Klamath River and intersects Highway 96, was just recently replaced. The original bridge was curved such that traffic that was continuing upriver did not have to stop. It was the first such curved bridge constructed in the state of California at the time. Just a few miles downstream from the intersection of Highway 263 is another bridge that was just recently replaced. The Ash Creek Bridge was originally built in September of 1901 and served the role of crossing the Klamath River for more than 100 years, having been replaced in May of 2012. While the new bridge certainly is more appropriate for the 21st century traffic, it certainly lacks the character and uniqueness of the original structure. This is the historic wooden suspension bridge in Horse Creek, California, down the Klamath River. This bridge has been here since I was a little tiny kid, so I don't know how old it is, but it is pretty dang old. I'm actually surprised that they still let traffic go over it. I don't think I'd drive a car heavier than the one I'm in, though. In the early 1970s, I rode across this bridge every day in a full-size school bus. Of course, that was 50 years ago. It's nice to see that not all of the old bridges have been taken out and replaced with boring concrete. Well, we're at the Roxbury Bridge, built in 1915. This bridge was out of commission before last year's wildland fire, but you can see that the fire took out the deck of the bridge, so you can't even walk across it anymore. It's a nice historic bridge, but she's barely hanging on. Hey, Thanksgiving's coming up. You want to come home with me? Well, back to my roots. This is the old house I grew up in when I was a little tiny kid. I lived in this house from 1970 to 1973. It was owned by the Forest Service. My parents rented it from the Forest Service. It's still part of the Forest Service compound, but boy, the old house is looking pretty rough. It obviously is not being maintained. No one's lived in the house in the last 30 years, I don't believe. It's pretty rough. It's kind of sad, but I have fond memories of growing up here. Lived in the house for 3 years. I was five years old to 8 years old when I lived in this house. The community of Scott Bar exists because of the Quartz Hill Mine. The very first place gold was ever discovered in Siskiyou County, and one of the very first places gold was discovered north of Sacramento. It was discovered by John W. Scott in the summer of 1850. The community, the river, and the headwater valley are all named after this gentleman. The Quartz Hill Mine was the largest and richest mine in Siskiyou County while it was operating. A newspaper article in 1855 states that a 7-pound pure gold nugget was found. And another newspaper article in 1907 claimed that over $16 million in gold had been removed in the last 57 years. That's $16 million at $20 an ounce. We made it to Happy Camp, California, and had a great lunch at a local pizza shop. Happy Camp takes great pride in their Bigfoot sighting history. Heading north out of Happy Camp, we took an extremely isolated road known as Indian Creek Road. It's also known as the Grayback Road. This area was hit hard in 2020 by the Slater and Devil Fire, which burned for many months and completely nuked the entire area. There's hardly a green tree for more than 30 miles. This road remained closed for more than a year as crews removed all the dead and dangerous trees. Good thing I saw that. You see what that guy wrote on the pavement?
No, giddy up.
No, it's back there. It said, "Whoa, big buddy."
Crazy.
Thank you for coming along for the ride on day 2 of our week-long trip to the coast. We hope you enjoyed seeing some of the historic bridges of Siskiyou County, and we hope you'll subscribe and continue to follow along as we enjoy the California Redwoods, the southern Oregon coast, and the beautiful scenery of the state of Jefferson. Thanks again for your support.